Save the children. Save the babies. Save the children. We've got to save the children because one day the children will save the world. Save the children. Who really cares? Save the children. This was a call that we used to hear all the time in our community. In the village of Philadelphia, in the village of Detroit, in the village of Brooklyn, in the village of Oakland, we used to hear, save the children, save the babies. The artists used to make songs like Marvin Gaye, Save the Children, or the Intruders out of Philly had its own version, Save the Children, Save the Babies. If you're driving through the country, if you're driving through Fairmount Park on a nice afternoon, you got to think about the children. Gil Scott-Heron, he did one, Save the Children. But you don't hear that anymore. The call for Save the Children seemed to disappear because that was the call for generations and generations. Ever since our people and our ancestors landed here in 1619, they say, that was always the front thought, save the children. When we were growing up, our parents and their parents said, you got to save the children. You got to send them to school. They got to get an education. They going to college. You got to save them. Well, we went to college, and it seemed like we forgot about the children. It went from we've got to save the children to I got to save myself. It was I instead of we. It was me instead of we. People became politicians. People became school teachers and school administrators, and it seemed like they didn't focus on the children no more. They focused on the paycheck and all the material things that they could get from that paycheck, houses and cars and clothes. And it seems like the children got, as they used to say, lost in the sauce. Today, you don't even hear that call. You don't even hear that chant. Save the children. We've got to save the children. I remember, and it rings clearly in my head, a black clergy woman. She says, who's going to save the children? She said, black educators going to save the children. She said, black Republicans going to save the children. She said, black Democrats going to save the children. She said, the community going to save the children. She said, Harambe, we going to change and save the children. But you don't hear it no more. So in the beginning, because this is Nasheed Ali, and I'm the storyteller inside Black life. And when you heard me play my harmonica, that was in honor of my Pop Grow Something. Because every Sunday around 6 o'clock, he would get together and they would have lessons taught by Shamari. And the people in the village would chime in with their ideas, because ideas are powerful. The facts are powerful. We can't negate that. We can't let that go. Those with qualitative thought, we can't let it go. So every Sunday, we would gather in the village, and Pop Grow Something would open it up with a story. All the village people would line up. The children and the parents and the adults and everybody would just sit around the grounding circle so that they could get elevated. Because when they left there, they weren't the same as when they first came. So they came around and they say, Pop, Grow Something, tell us a story. Can you tell us a story? And Pop, Grow Something, he was humming the tune, save the children, we've got to save the children, save the babies. He said, sure, I can tell you a story. He said, a long, long time ago, he said, when the animals could talk, and the animals and man could walk together on this earth and live in peace and harmony. He said there was a group of animals led by the lion, the king of the lions, Simba. And one day he said, what we need is the spirit of the drum to move around the village so that the people could feel once again their heartbeat and think about from whence they came, from where they came. So that lion got together some drummers, and they started out small, and it grew and it grew and it grew, and they went to sacred places all around the village. They went to places that they called parks, because outside of parks they were building concrete buildings. But there was always a space left so you could commune with the Creator, so that you could commune with nature. In this village, the village of Philly, there's a whole great big space called Fairmount Park, where the village used to get together on every Sunday, like they do now in different parts of the city. They used to get together every Sunday on Belmont Plateau. And those drums and those musical instruments and the good vibrations used to ring out all over Philadelphia, because you could see all over Philadelphia. Well, Simba got together the animals, and they went to sacred places called Cedar Park and Malcolm X Park and Vernon Park and different parks, but they were sacred. So one day, I think they were in Cedar Park, the animals, oh, let me not forget Peace Park. It's 2 Peace Parks. That's how sacred it is. North Philly Peace Park and West Philly Peace Park. Let me not forget that in the story. But in Cedar Park one Sunday, what they enjoyed most was that every Sunday it grew and grew and grew. And the children would come out, and their parents would come out, and the children did something that no one had heard in a long time, and that was laugh. You could hear the children's laughter every time they heard the drum and felt that drum beat, because the drum beat is just like the heart, their mother's heart. They hear that drum beat in the womb. So they danced to that drum beat, and the parents danced to that drum beat, and they felt safe in that sacred place. Oh, it was a grand and lovely time. The elders came out and told stories, and everybody communed with each other, and the animals and the humans drummed together. Because like I said, this was a time a long time ago when the animals and the humans could both talk. So they were drumming. So in the park, Simba looked around and he saw that everything was fine, that the children were laughing and the parents were helping the children, and everyone was grooving and moving to the beat of that drum. But then over in the far corner, Simba saw something that was very disturbing. He saw what he thought was, and he was probably right because he knew everybody in the jungle. He saw some monkeys. And everybody knows what them monkeys are capable of. Sometimes them monkeys was bad monkeys. These monkeys, Simba just got a bad vibe. Sometimes you got to go with your vibe, your inner feeling. He got a bad vibe from them monkeys. You know, anytime it's 100-degree weather, 80-degree weather, and you got a hood over your head, and your pants is hanging down, and it look like something is bulging out of the hood, well, you get a bad vibe when you see that. So Simba stopped drumming, and he walked over to those monkeys, and he looked for the leader of the monkeys, and he saw him. The leader's name was 50 Cent. So he knew him. He said, 50. You know, one time Simba was talking to 50, and he said, why they call you 50? Because the leader said, well, I dropped out of school before I could get it down, so I didn't get it all. So instead of calling me $1, they called me 50 Cent. So he called 50 over. He said, 50. He said, come here for a minute. He said, look, man. He said, we can't have this. He said, I'm looking over here and you over there by yourself. And I know some trouble is going to come because I see the gun. And Simba always worried about that gun. He was concerned about those guns because he said that the animals don't make the guns. He said the humans don't have a gun factory. He said the only people that can give it to you is the hunter. And the hunter is killing us with the gun, and now he's giving you free guns so that you can kill each other. So he broke it down to 50 just like that. He said instead of the hunter killing one, the hunter gives you a gun and you kill 5. You kill the unborn. You kill the newborn. You kill the young and the old, woman and man. He said, this has got to stop. He said, I've got something for you, Fiddy, and the monkeys. So Fiddy, you know, Fiddy said, what you got for us? You ain't got nothing for us. He said, we got something. He said, put down the gun. He said, put down the gun for 1 minute and come with me, you and the monkeys. So they put down the gun and they walked over to the rest of the drummers. And the drummers, they was having a good time. They was laughing. The children was laughing. And the more that the laughter was in the air, the more that the drummers got down with the beat. Simba said, Fiddy, pick up this drum. Put down the gun and pick up the drum. You know, Fiddy said, I don't know nothing about no drum. He said, I'm going to teach you. You don't know, I'm going to show you. I'm going to take my time, have patience with you, and show you. And that's what Simba did. He took his time, and he taught Fitty, right there, he said, look, this is a basic rhythm. This is a basic beat. Do this rhythm, do this beat, and tell me what you feel.
And right there, Pop-Pop, I'm going to ask you to put a pause. When we come back, we'll learn the beat and the continuation of the story of 50. 50 Cent and Brother Simba. So stay tuned. This is Groundings with Brother Shamari right here, WRD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM on your radio dial. We're listening to Pop Pop. Grow something.
Pastoriana yanto gilmeni, abatuara na yanto sone, saraguliana yanto dangi, manke papa mere mo manke, caravasera ira ina meni, awamato kiliado. Kaniya soli tande kanyi kamu paga bombo neba. Kaniya soli tande kanyi galatin bombo neba. Ina to nyera mase kanama, yarera mase kanama, kambira mase kanama, asetima mase kanama.
We will never know how many of our friends and family members didn't get COVID-19 because we followed safeguards. We'll never know that number. This is Dan Hilferty, CEO of Independence Blue Cross, with a simple reminder of how much good we do for others when we protect ourselves. We'll never know how many lives we save because we wear masks, wash our hands frequently, and keep social distance. We'll never know exactly who we help, who we save when we take protective steps each day. We'll only know one thing for certain, that we did all we could to save people from the effects of a pandemic with the potential to overwhelm the region. And that's a nice thing for us to live with. Thank you all. For more on what you can do, visit ibx.com. Together, we are beating COVID-19.
As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let WORD Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit wordworks.com. That's WURDworks.com. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on WORD Radio and WORDRadio.com.
sigimanu takala kitani more pa kise sangale matizani
Ayaya benima.
And welcome back to Groundings and Elevations with Brother Shamari. Pop, grow something.
Yes,
I want to
sir.
know this rhythm that 50 learned by way of Simba, because we got a whole African thing in here today. This is amazing what we about to get into, my brother. We got some Ghanaian stuff going on. We got some Sierra Leonean, man. So let's and plus, man, it sounds like you must have been in my head at this drum circle we had earlier today. So let's get back to the story.
So, Pop grows something. He took a break just to get a swig of water, just to wet his whistle. And when he returned, they said, "What? Tell us, Pop grows something. What happened? What happened when the monkeys came over to drum with the animals and the brothers and the sisters?" Pop grows something said, "Well, you remember what we used to say back in the day?" And they said, "What, Pop grows?" He said, "I told you, you got to remember. Repeat after me. Save the children." And they said, "Save the children. Save the babies. Save the babies." He said, "Well, remember that, because that's very important to this story." So where we left off at was Simba had saw the monkeys over at a distance, and the monkeys had a bad vibration. They had hoodies on in hot weather. They had their pants hanging down. They had pieces that was bulging out of their belts. And Simba knew that those pieces, guns, didn't come from animals or brothers and the sisters, because we didn't own factories. They knew it came from the hunter. And the hunter gave them out freely so that we could destroy ourselves. So Simba, in the drum circle, in the sacred space, he got a bad vibration. So what he did was walk over. He walked over slowly, and he saw the leader. He knew the leader. Leader name was 50 Cent. And like I told you, 50 Cent was 50 Cent because he didn't finish school. He didn't get it down. He dropped out of school before he got it down, didn't even know how to read. So instead of going for the full dollar, he only went to 50 Cent. And it wasn't even 50 Cent, because as time went on, everybody called him 50. But he thought that, he had respect.
He's from Philly, so now it's no more 0%.
Hey, 0%. That's right. 0%.
Sorry.
But to end the story up real quick, Simba called Fiddy over and said, "Look, Fiddy, put down the gun and pick up the drum." He said, "That drum will transform you. You'll feel like another person." He didn't believe it. Fiddy didn't believe it. He said, "Come on, Simba, get out of here." He said, "You just telling me this, man." He said, "I want to be with the other monkeys. I want to, play with the guns. I want to destroy. He said, "Come over." So he came over, and Simba let Fiddy hold his drum. Fiddy said, "I don't know what to do. I don't even know. I can't feel." He said, "Look, I'm going to teach you a rhythm." And it was a basic rhythm, the heartbeat rhythm. Boom, 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 boom. He said, "Now listen to the man beside you. Listen to the bass." He said, "Listen to the voices and listen to the children singing." He said, "Look at the smiles on the people's face as you drum." And sure enough, that's what Fiddy did, and Fiddy changed. Fiddy said, "Hold it, wait a minute." He ran over and got the other monkeys. He said, "Put down the guns right there. Come here, I got something for you." He put down the guns, picked up the drum, and they all drummed. And what happened after it was all over? After the drum circle was over, the spirit of the drum closed for the day. Fiddy and other monkeys embraced the other animals and the people in the village. And they went where they dropped their guns. They took a shovel and buried those guns and said, "Never again." They made a vow, "Never again will we pick up a gun to destroy one another, each other." So what happened? They also cleaned themselves up. They took them hoodies off. They pulled up them pants. Some of them put on nice clean shirts with bow ties. Some of them put on their African attire, their boobas, their dashikis, their kufis, and they got together, and they were guardians of the community. Whenever they had circles, Spirit of the Drum circles in the future, you know who would be guarding it? The monkeys.
The monkeys.
In the evening time, the monkeys, you could hear them. You could hear them as they walked in each community. As if all was well, they would say, "Save the children. We've got to save the children. Save the babies." And it would echo all through the village until it became a reality. And that's the beat that Simba taught Fitty, the monkey.
Boom. That heartbeat, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you must have been out there today, man. We
I
were
was
at
out there in
Vernon
the
Park.
spirit, brother.
Yes, you were. Based on that story, I could tell, man. I could tell.
I was there, man.
Because that's what happened. All of that happened today, brother, in some form or fashion. Everything you talked about in your story happened today. So I don't know how you do it, man, because we don't check in with each other, but somehow you always manage to land in the same space, brother. We had the honor of having a drum circle, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'm not going to steal my brother Wysette's thunder when he calls in later. But, woo, man, it's all that. What I walked away today with or drove away today with is something that kind of is going to center our conversation today. You know, it had been laid on my heart, some version of this, when I talked to Brother Zumbi a while back about the fact that we can never get used to this idea because of COVID that our elders or our people are passing away and they're not being celebrated in the right way. And that, you know, we needed to do something to make sure we created spaces where that could happen, even in the context of COVID. And, you know, it didn't, you know, fly immediately, and then in a whole different atmosphere, it got laid on Brother Wysette's heart to do the Spirit of the Drum, and that thing has become one of the most important things, man, sacred things to me that I'm a part of, and I've heard other people say similar. And I want people to know, man, I'm going to protect that space. I feel like you said, becoming a guardian of that space. Don't know that I want to become a monkey, but I'm going to I take guardianship of the sacred space that we've created because it's a healing space. It's an empowering space. It's a safe space for the children. It's a space where our culture is reified and elevated, and we can't let that die. Even when the winter comes, we're going to find a place to take that space on the inside because it's definitely probably some of the most important work that I've been a part of. And shout out, Ashe to Brother Wysette, man, for allowing himself to be the conduit through which this thing has come to be, my brother. Brother Nashi, you know, I know, you know, things are going on, man. I just really ask for strength from the ancestors and the African forces, man, and let your spirit be able and your person to be able to be in a position to come out and experience that, man. I know that you would appreciate it at a deep level because whenever I've drummed with you or had you and Brother Rob or other people, drummers come out for the Kwanzaa and the Black History Month, you understand it's not a performance. It's really, our drum is a heartbeat. It's a conduit of energy and vibration, of positivity and strength. It's a thing that grounds us across cultures. And, you know, man, it has to be protected. And I'm one of those who have committed that I'm going to be the best steward, and that's a word that I'm really trying to bring back into the vocabulary as it relates to the definition of brother and man and father, the best guardian and the best caretaker of these kind of spaces on behalf of our people, man. So I much appreciate your story, sir, and I look forward to what you're going to hit us with at the end of our show today.
Yes, sir. All right, and thank you very much, and I'm glad that you arrived safely.
Thank you.
All right.
That is Brother Nasheed Ali, Pop Grow Something. He always gets us started right here on Groundings and Elevations with Brother Shamari. And before we come up on our next commercial break, let's go to Reverend Joe Williams. see what he has to contribute to this wonderful Sunday evening dialogue right here on Groundings and Elevation.
Good evening, Brother Samari.
Good evening, Reverend Joe. We got to get you out there one day at this drum circle, too.
I'm leading up to that. That's why I'm calling. Number one, you don't have to look for a place to get inside. You already have a place. 701. You got a place.
All right.
That's the end of that one. Number two, as I was going to say, I was a drummer in the band, and also my job with the Dixieland job, my part in the Dixieland Birds, other than singing, I had to keep the beat of the song we were singing. If you don't have the correct beat in sync, that's what we call it in quartet singing, you fighting against the time, nothing will happen. I don't care how good you're singing. So you got to be in sync with the beat and hold that beat.
I think that was my function today, sir. I ended up on the bottom of the beat a lot, so I had to hold that joint for like the whole song. I said,
well, you got
that's why I'm tired right now. I need a nap. I ain't gonna lie.
I'll make the statement. I'm not saying this. Maybe it's not true, but I don't think white folks can feel the downbeat. That's why they can't dance and sing and do what we do in rock and roll and gospel. Because if you can't feel the downbeat, you'll never be in beat. Now, last but not least, you can help me with this one. Because most people can have an opinion, but there's only one fact. Tonight, in Stroudsburg somewhere, President Trump was having a rally, and he was talking about the people being close and dangerous. Let me say this to you. President Trump hating black folks is bigger than this disease will ever be, and that's why he can draw folks. Don't mean nothing to them. That hate is so big, they'll walk through fire to keep that going. So that's my...
I will. My only response to that, sir, is what I'm realizing is black love, African love is so big that we also will walk through fire to be in community with each other with the spirit. I see that every Sunday. That's one of the things that's beautiful about this.
Amen. Amen.
I see people who, elders, young people, and there were people literally who used to chide us because we were being communal in our drum spaces. Y'all ain't out there with all y'all don't have a mask and y'all eating watermelon and y'all sharing food like it's a cookout. Yeah, it's family. And so far I will say through this whole summer, we stood strong. Our family is growing every Sunday, and hopefully modeling the sense that at some point, in the Wizard of Oz or the Wiz, Eveline had to melt and die, and then all of a sudden everybody started dancing, and can you see a brand new day? Well, that's what we bringing. We bringing a brand new day. We're going to show you that the Wicked Witch or the orange-haired witch or whatever y'all want to call this dude, he ain't got all power like that.
Amen.
And so let's celebrate, and let's come back to who we are so that we can win.
And my last statement to you is don't fall for the okie doke. Stay strong. Keep the faith. When your faith will keep you, don't forget you got a place inside when you get ready.
Well, that's good to know, sir, because I've been inside your place, and we're gonna use it. I thank you for that offer. I want to read a little bit before we go to commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna get a little diasporic up in this place. We're gonna get a little Pan-African. I got to introduce y'all to my new producer on Sundays. Y'all got to get to know her a little bit. Then we're going to introduce y'all to my co-host for our conversation. What are we going to call this conversation? I like that. What was it called on your Facebook page? Across the River or something like that? Across the Ocean?
Divided by the Ocean.
Divided by the Ocean. So we're going to do United by the Ocean, and we're going to have that conversation. But I want to read from this little book, man. If you don't have this book in your library, you got to get it. African Power. That's by Asa Hilliard, man. He has some gems in here that I really want us to think about. And it's going to center on my question today. Stick with me. To me, it's an interesting question. I don't know that. We'll see. Jegna. They have been tested in struggle and battle. They show extraordinary and unusual fearlessness. They produce exceptionally high quality work. They show diligence and determination to our people in everything that is done. They vow to protect with their lives their people, land, and culture. And they always speak the truth. I didn't know Brother Mo directly. I know him through the radio and calling up. I know him more importantly for me by way of reputation. Y'all know I always have this question on air. The question that Jesus asked his disciples, who do you say I am, and who do men say I am? Because that's really what matters. And by all accounts of the people who knew him better than me, he was a Jegna. Tested and struggled in battle, showing extraordinary and unusual fearlessness, producing exceptionally high quality work, showing diligence and determination to our people in everything that is done, vowing to protect with his life our people, our land, and our culture, and a speaker of the truth. So shout out, remembrance to Brother Mo, and shout out to all the people who brought the spirit to the spirit of the drum, our circle, every Sunday at 1 o'clock. When we come back, I'm going to play Warrior Rhythms, because that's my song. And it's a song that honors the Jegna. That's where it comes from. That's the doom that I used to start my show with. I just want to play that, and then we're going to have a conversation with two of my sisters who are in the studio to get to know them a little better, because hopefully as we ride and continue grounding and elevating, they'll be riding and actually steering the ship. So I want y'all to get to know them, so stay tuned. Yeah, just upload something like this. What is that? Don't start with me. We can start.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
This is a rhythm, a warrior's rhythm, victorious rhythm, a glorious beautiful rhythm, the powerful rhythm. We chant to the rhythm, we dance to the rhythm. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. This is a rhythm, a warrior's rhythm, victorious rhythm, a glorious rhythm. Yahoo, yahoo, you hear it, you feel it, it's there in your spirit, it's there in the lyric. Don't ever compare it. Yahoo, don't ever compare it. Yahoo, don't ever compare it. The beat of the cradle, defeating the label, the people are able to eat at the table. Yahoo, yahoo. Divided by cheddar, we gotta get better, united together, we tighter than ever. Forgotten, forsaken, forever mistreated, debated, disputed, but never defeated. No hate, no more venom, we straight with the rhythm. We celebrate rhythm, we elevate rhythm. The beautiful rhythm, the powerful rhythm. We chant to the rhythm, we dance to the rhythm. The beautiful rhythm, the powerful rhythm. We chant to the rhythm, we dance to the rhythm. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
Welcome back to Groundings and Elevation with Brother Shamari. We need a process, y'all. Process whereby we develop a mission, where we have the development of purpose, where we can respond to our calling, where we develop competence in vital knowledge and essential skills, where we develop character, a renewed sense of belonging, striving for elevation and perfection, the ability to critique the structures of domination and oppression are in front of us, the ability to protect and defend our people, our land, and our culture, and the ability to build for eternity. Why? Because as Baba Fukiao says in African Power, I'm telling you, African Power, check it out. He says, and I quote, "I believe people are engaged in such death-bringing activities because of fundamental deviations from basic ethical, moral, and spiritual principles of life and tradition." See, I call it acting like flies, but somebody said that analogy was a little weak, it's beneath us. So I want to raise it up a little bit, because when you're out of your rites of passage, when you're out of your initiation process, when you're out of your culture, when you don't have processes and systems, passages that help you become African, you end up like flies. It's really kind of simple. But some people like to make things complex. So let's elevate. And see, because we are engaged in these fundamental death-bringing activities, that are fundamental deviations from basic ethical, moral, and spiritual principles of life and tradition. These fundamental deviations, our flyness, weaken the body's functioning and individual self-healing power, the best healer of any individual and therefore society. It is morally dangerous to deviate from certain traditions. Guess what, y'all? It's also morally dangerous just to replicate certain traditions. Because just because they were relevant and worked 2,000 years ago, or 100 years ago, or guess what, even last year, might not mean that's what's applicable for our reality today. See, we got to get a little deeper about what we mean when we say Sankofa, because we've kind of let it devolve to this kindergarten kind of thing where we think it just means return to the source and go back and get it. Nah, it's a little bit more nuanced than that. So let's get nuanced with it. It is mortally dangerous to deviate from certain traditions. It hurts to lose certain traditions. These are practical principles of life. The loss can lead to self-destruction, headed for self-destruction of the individual, society, the world, and its civilization. So, my question I want y'all to ruminate a little bit about, and we'll dive into it a little bit more when we come back. It's 2020. No doubt, for me, the key to grounding and elevation is rites of passage and initiation. Just to take the little, let you behind the curtain. Rites of passage and initiation, grounding and elevation. So my question right now is it enough for us in the situation that we're in as African people throughout this globe to simply go back, and let me take the simply out because I don't want anybody saying I'm being pejorative, to go back and just dust off or reclaim an ancient way of rites of passage and initiation? Or is it time and is it proper for us to really look at the world as it is and the world that we want to be and become, the world we want to create, and develop an applicable, quote unquote, maybe even new set of ways we take ourselves and our people through a rite of passage and an initiation? I want to ask that again. So see, some of us get stuck in culture as if in order for me to be African and cultural, I got to go back and do exactly what they did in Yoruba land 500 years ago. Or I got to go back and do the Mende way. What are y'all societies called? Y'all got some societies, Portal and other things, right? Bondo. All right, there we go. You got some initiation societies I need to know about? But like in 2020, for me to be African and for me to be a Jegna, for me to be a warrior, for me to be grounded and to attempt to elevate, is the call for me to go back and do it the way it has always been done? Do I have to return and go through tradition and ritual and rites of passage and initiation the way it's been handed down from generation to generation? Is that what the calling is? Or are we called to look at our reality and our positioning as a global African people and to develop rites of passage, initiation, preparation processes that are applicable for the reality that we must be raised to defeat? Hit me up, 215-634-8065. I'm curious. It's a quandary that I want us to interrogate. I'm in an interrogating kind of mood. 866-361-0900. Again, that's 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. When we come back, I want to hear from the two sisters I have in studio with me, and then we're going to jump to the phone line. So I want to hear your thoughts. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we're taking you back home. We're gonna take you to the Pearl Bush then.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WordRadio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WordRadio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media.
How do we make sense of our nation's history with race, privilege, and inequality? On Thursday, September 24th at 6 p.m., join Pulitzer Prize-winning author and Harvard University historian Annette Gordon-Reed as she discusses the challenges of wrestling with America's complicated past. This free virtual event is part of the Museum of the American Revolution's Carl M. Buchholz lecture series. Tickets are free, but registration is required at amrevmuseum.org or by calling 215-253-6731.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
African cultural response to slavery and oppression in the Americas and the Caribbean, and England and China began on the shores. I added that. I'm sorry, I had to get it out. Began on the shores of West Africa when captured Africans tried to take African soil in their hands and sometimes in their mouths onto the slave ships as a last desperate struggle to hold on to a piece of Africa. Slavery was and is a war against African culture, especially against the structure of the African family. You know, shout out to my brother Jeff Weaver, because he talks about the Haitian Revolution should probably get its proper due as really the first World War, or World War One. You know, it wasn't this thing that happened in 1917, and World War II wasn't this thing that's happened in 1939, 40, whatever. But that really, when you think about all of the European powers that were involved in this attempt to sustain and maintain Haiti, and you think about all of the different places that the African brothers and sisters came from, the 21 nations that constituted the fighting force in the Haitian Revolution, that is a global or world war. But I want us to really grapple with something that we probably know, but it's coming to me strong now, is that slavery, this global enterprise called the transatlantic slave trade. I'm going to take it back, because that's the problem we have. We use the word like it's an enterprise, and that is trade. It was a global assault against our sovereignty as African people. It's like we talk about it like it was this thing about commerce, and we leave the warfare, the coordinated military assault on the continent called Africa, on the people called African, that then resulted in this thing we call the Ma'afa, that leads to one of the outcomes of that Ma'afa is the trade in human beings called African, and the oppression of them into a condition called slavery. And we really got to go back and understand that if you want to talk about multinational corporations, if you want to talk about global trade, and all of these things, they come from this act of a Europe that was quote unquote unifying as it was fighting itself over who would dominate. Dominate black body, dominate black land, dominate black children, dominate our black future. We got to start thinking about our condition here in 2020 as a result of a world war that happened in the 1600s across many lands, many cultures, many people. Because I think that sometimes we're trying to think about how to deal with coming out of our enslavement, and we're not thinking about it at this meta, mythic, macro level that it rightly deserves. It probably was what could be considered the first global war against the people. Forts and castles and death, by the millions, by the way. Forced migration, guns, germs, and steel, all coordinated to change and rewrite the destiny of a proud people. And so I want us to begin to figure out how we create grounding and elevation, how we create rites of passage and initiation for the purpose of producing Jegna and warrior, such that we can rewrite the terms of disagreement that we have come to normalize. Like, I think our condition called enslavement and oppression, if we're not careful, has become normalized as the psyche, the center of the psyche of the people we now call black. So my question is, if we accept that responsibility and that purpose, then the question becomes, is it enough to go back and become initiated, grounded in the way, the old way, let me call it that? Or is it time for us to really engage in an analysis of the world that's around us and in front of us and that we want to create, and then create systems, processes, initiation, ritual, routine, all of that, that's applicable and functional in this world? And I know that the answer is that it's both and, but let's start talking about both and. Because I'm tired of people telling me that I'm not African because I didn't do X, Y, Z. I didn't go back. I don't have an African name. I don't know what tribe I came from. I didn't get my DNA I wasn't initiated as this. Like this judgment about what it means now to be African. Let's talk about it. Because I think it's time for us to write our narrative and author our way forward now. And it's going to require some looking here, looking there, looking over here, pulling this down, applying that over. It's going to require some synthesis of some things in order to write a way forward that's applicable for the reality that we're in. So before I jump to the phone lines, what I want to do, I was going to go to my producer first, but she's working, so I'm going to come over here, Musu. Since you're going to be riding shotgun and we're going to be partnering, introduce yourself again to our listening audience. And I'm curious, you and I were having a conversation about Sinke. Actually, the conversation, let's be real, the conversation was kind of like, well, how come black people over here don't really know a lot about Sierra Leone? Like, you know, y'all were asking me, it's like, y'all give Ghana so much love, and y'all give, Nigeria love, and South Africa, but it felt like y'all, you was feeling some kind of way, you and your people, because I was surrounded by y'all. It was like a group of y'all trying to figure out why Sierra Leone don't get no love. And I said, maybe out of ignorance, I offered two things. I said, number one, over here, the media has crafted Sierra Leone as the place of the blood diamond and, civil war. So if I'm going to be a tourist, I'm going to go to Africa. Sierra Leone ain't on the top of my list. So I'm just going to be honest. And then I also said, for me, a lot of the attractive places in Africa, you also had people who were highly known in their role in the decolonization movement. And a lot of them had some association with us over here. So Nkrumah is like the godfather of Pan-Africanism. He went to Lincoln University. We're going to show him some love. Ezekwe out of Nigeria also went to Lincoln University. We know that Julius Nyerere was one who sheltered Malcolm, as well as many of our repatriating Black Panther. So there's this synthesis that we felt we had. We participated in a divestiture movement that was part of the crumbling of apartheid in South Africa. So we had some links. I don't know nothing about Sierra Leone like that. And then you said, wait, you don't know? And then you gave me a name. Say the name.
Singapore.
I said, no, I ain't never heard of that. And then you said, wait, they did a whole movie about him. Amistad and Cinque. I said, oh, and then I said, oh, they the same people? I didn't even know that.
I can't believe
so educate us, because to be honest with you, I never knew that Cinque, because we call him Joseph Cinque. You're like, that ain't even a dude's name.
I don't know why they did that.
And then I said the movie Amistad ain't really kind of, put him in the best light, because it made it seem like the white boy did all the work. So educate us. I'm having a little bit of fun with it, but literally when you said his name, I had no idea who you were talking about until you said, yeah, y'all might call him Cinque. So introduce yourself and talk about some why Sierra Leone need to get some more love from Black Americans, as y'all call us.
Oh yeah. Well, my name is Musu Kamara. I am my mother is from the Mende tribe, and my dad is from the Soso tribe. My grandpa traveled from Guinea to Sierra Leone, and he married a couple wives, and all of them were Mende women. Happened to have my father, was Mende. Well, I'll say I was raised by my mother, so I adapted all about my Mende tribe. Sorry about that. I know much more about my Mende tribe than the Soso tribe, but thank God my sister is here. Maybe I'm planning to go to Guinea and find out my own route, see where my grandpa came from. But honestly, I was really shocked when I came here, and I knew about Shengbe, but I hardly see anything on the flag, like in parks, about Shengbe until when we were, discussing last night, and he said, oh, Joseph Cinque. I said, who is Joseph Cinque? And I Googled. I was the first to Google. And I said, Shengbe. I said, really? How did they turn our Mende name around and gave him Cinque?
Hey, if they could make Jesus, and surround him by 12 people named Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Andrew, Peter, Paul, and Simon, and the Beatles, then they're gonna change some names. That's kind of how this works.
Oh no! So actually, when I read last night, I started reading about Shengbe, because it's funny that we are here, but most of us don't really know much about our roots. I don't know, it's because we are born and raised there, but we don't do more extensive researches about our people. But I was shocked yesterday. All I know is the Pierre, which is Shengbe Pierre's family, they live 14 miles away from my village. And up to this day, they still have some Pierres. I have my church member is Sam Pierre. Right. He lives in Delaware. I have a very good sister who is Josephine Pierre. He lives in Atlanta. So they are still living here. The Pierre. I think, last time I said maybe we need to demand they rewrite the African history again. Because there are certain things.
Well, we got to rewrite the history again. That's what I don't want anybody. You saw what they did when they wrote it. So I don't want them to. I don't want them to have a second.
No, right, we have to rewrite it.
Exactly.
We have to rewrite it. So I didn't know that Cinque was my blood. The Shengbe Pierre that they just twisted around. Well, whoever did that, no problem. We still know him as Shengbe Pierre, but he's from the Mende tribe. And the Mende tribe, majority of us is in the southern province of Sierra Leone. And he was born in a town called Mani, which is southern part of Sierra Leone, very close to one of the slave islands called Bunt. Bunt is another place where was a point of no return. It's an island. So I think they say to along that river, the Atlantic Ocean, is where Mani is. So Mani is very close to the Bunt Island. So I believe when he was captured from Mani, according to history, they say he was taken to Lomboko. I'm going to Google that again and see which village is Lomboko in my country. and that's how he was brought over here.
Now, what I want people to be clear, because we're saying the names, that if you ever saw the movie Amistad or heard of Cinque, they credit him with leading they call it a mutiny. I call it they came to their senses and wanted to go back home, but leading the mutiny on the slave ship Amistad, and that eventually ended up here in a court trial that had them free to go back home. Essentially that's the outcome that happens, because I believe that Cinque actually died back in Sierra Leone, right? He ended up back home.
He returned.
And I want to talk a little bit about that, because again, they engaged in the act of warriorhood on the ship. And I contend that it's because he was probably grounded through a rites of passage process and initiation process that put some warrior spirit into him, right? That's how that, you don't just wake up and say, woo, warrior. Like, there's a process to go through that. So what would the male initiation or rites of passage process for the Mende people be called?
Well, to my understanding, I know most of the male society is all about warrior, fighting, skills, how to fight. It's Sengbe. I'm not surprised when Sengbe really did that, because our people can really fight for their right. When you go to a Mende land, Mende can fight for what they believe is their own. So we are good for that. But we are very welcoming, just like what yesterday they told you. Oh, brother, this is your house. Come back anytime. So, but they are very strong. And
what would the society? What's the name of the society?
The male society is called the Poro Society, and the
P-O-R-O. And by the way, go research both Mama Marimba Ani and Dr. Amos Wilson in their writing and in a lot of their YouTube speeches would talk about the Poro Society, and the one day, and the female society is called
the Sunday or the Bondo. But Pierre. Sengbe Pierre, I'm talking about my uncle today. Sengbe Pierre, I believe he must have been part of the One Day Society. One Day Society is the only society that you can find in the southern province. That's our own people.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. So speaking of uncles, I'm transitioning here. I'm telling you now, for the record, this is just an organic thing. So very rarely do I meet people and it's automatically like, oh, really? So, okay, we're going to be ride or die from this moment forward. You ain't getting rid of me at this point. So I'm telling you, like, sometimes the ancestors just make stuff happen, because if some things happen, I said, no, we're going to work this out. Let's make it happen, because, sister had already had the connection with you because y'all last name is Kamada. And so I was like, whoa. So then, she said she was from Guinea, but didn't get much further than that. Then today, I'm just saying, I'm like, yo, y'all, check this out. See, y'all might not understand this. People who was raised up at Know Thyself bookstore will understand this. I'm literally, my producer is the great niece of Ahmed Sekou Touré. Now, everybody might not understand what that means, but man, Deacon Del Jones and Ahmed, they would grill us with Ahmed Sekou Touré-isms. I mean, they like Kwame Nkrumah, so I had to get my Nkrumah stuff. But Ahmed, you would have thought Ahmed Sekou Touré was their daddy. That's how much Ahmed Sekou, Islam for the people's benefit. And so I started doing my research on Ahmed Sekou Touré, and boom, fam. It's like, yo, bam, voila, producer. Greetings. Talk a little bit about yourself, and to the extent that in the conversation we're having, because I saw you kind of either nodding or cringing based on my assessment of this initiation thing and whether it's good enough to return, just do it the way it's been done, or there's some elements around initiation, particularly into a warriorhood, given the fight that we're in, that we need to bring some new flavor to it. So your thoughts? Well, introduce yourself first. I don't want to throw you right into the fire.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a loaded question. I was thinking about it for a while. So my name is Ngakia Kamara. Right now I'm a student at American University in D.C., actually. But because of coronavirus, we now have classes online. So I'm staying in Philly, and I've been working with WURD, and it's been an experience. Brother Shamari, you are amazing to listen to. Musu, I love listening to you as well. But I think I think that to answer that question, it does depend on it depends on the times. When you say initiation, is what I wanted to ask you. What does that look like for you? I mean, I think we all kind of have an idea about what it looks like or what it seems like, but what does it look like to you, or what does it mean to you?
See how she switched the question around. Like, let me get it all for me, and boom,
No,
like
but
judo,
you can't blame her
like
because
jujitsu.
are you part of any secret society?
No,
She's not. So I would be
All right,
able to answer that question.
No, I'm gonna answer. We're gonna do it when we come back, because I want to delve into this, because it means a lot of different things to a lot, and some good, some bad, right?
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Definitely.
That's the conversation we actually want to have, though. It's like, we have. I think we're all committed to, at the core, this idea of the 3 L's that I'm involved in. That we have to have black love, black loyalty, in order to get to black life. And life for me is liberation, or liberté, independence, freedom, and empowerment, right? So those are the 3 L's. The question is, though, we just stop there. Like, you got to put apparatus and systems and relationships in place to make that stuff happen. And to me, I don't think it's simple enough. I don't think it's as easy as just go back and do it the way it's been done. I don't think that's, number one, I think that, and that's even in spiritual stuff and religious stuff, I think it kills the religion. Like, let's take the one that most people might be familiar with. Like, people have to really grapple with the fact that Christianity is, Jesus was an iconoclast. Any spiritual person comes to break the order that's in place and then recreate and bring forward something new. That's the purpose. And I think that sometimes when you get stuck in this rut that says, oh, we have to do it and replicate the way it's been done, you lose the essence of your spiritual power, because the spiritual power comes into the order and say, okay, that is decayed, that is rusted, that is archaic. It must be broken. We got to break the egg in order to free new creation. And I think that sometimes people who want to hold on to the order are also making sure that we never engage in the revolution or the recreation that is necessary. I say that the God force creates. Man's job, as human's job, is to recreate based on the creation. But you can't stay stagnant. And Sankofa, the spirit of Sankofa, returning to the source to fetch that which you've lost in order to move forward, always has the egg. The bird is always carrying the egg, because it's always about what you must do to bring forward and to renew life. So for me, I'm not one who says that the key is that we just return to the old way. No offense. No offense. I believe I have to get grounded in the essence of the old way. But then I have to create new initiation, and all initiation for me are structures of elevation. The way you socialize and teach and bring forward in order to elevate your people to a next level of their calling, of their culture, of their purpose. And I don't think I can always go backwards and grab some stuff and pull that forward. I think that the onus is on us as the lived ones and the living ones to figure out what that structure is, so that we prepare our children through initiation to reach to their elevated next level. And that every generation has that job. And I think that's what Frantz Fanon meant when he said every generation must discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. I think we've been betraying our mission by always going back and trying to replicate our ancestors. We are our ancestors, so I have to go back and replicate them. I have to honor them through my walk, and I honor them by creating new systems and ways of elevation. That's what I think.
All right, let me know when you want to come in.
When we come back, we jump right in. She asked me what I thought, and I think I just answered it.
I'm coming.
215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. If you want to join this conversation, the next segment is your time to do so. So hit us up. Talk to you then.
aponga yati kirana nade yamura karamati kube bara korogwara iya kujele alabe yati keren nade kona kiri tamusoma yampera yampen yadi mambaride yati keren nade dima kana bedunia ma mi ampa mambaride Chopari wanda waki bonni inti menni diore honi Nana buyang wito diginira Nana buyang wito diginira degi saben Nana buyang wito Nana buyang wito diginira Nana buyang wito diginira degi saben Nana buyang wito Muhamari kom 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 Muhamari kom 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 Muhamari kom 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 Muhamari kom 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 Emudara bisinga mangere honi Menni tam kom kom kere Anara bi barakansa Asangu di sadema Gurubu gurubu nali do gulum puti Keli ye dinge nanna Dinge fari kompote Keli ye dinge nanna Dinge fari kompote Keli ye mariye nanna Mariye fari kompote Keli ye mariye nanna Mariye fari kompote
Jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Livelihood. The new initiative from Word Radio to connect Philadelphians to resources to help take the next steps in their professional lives. WordWorks.com features career readiness tools, entrepreneurship resources, funding opportunities, and events to expand your livelihood. Visit WURDWorks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey.
Work, 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 work. It's to me everywhere.
Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings and Elevation with Brother Shamari, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I want to jump to the phone lines. We got a couple callers I want to get in, and then I want Sister Ngakia and Sister Musu to have some final words, and then we're going to talk with my brother Dave Barnes about what's coming up on the new Worldview, and then we're going to hear our final story from Pop Pop Know Something. So we're going to knock all of that out, starting with T from West Philly. Greetings. Oh, South Philly, my bad.
Peace and love, my brother. How are you?
Good, yourself.
Oh, man, thank you for having the show, brother. And I appreciate you, man. And when you brought up the name Zumbi, it made me think about all the good things that brother had done in the community.
Yes.
And I appreciate y'all looking out for my sister, my friend Austin. And for Noka Michaels over there at Paul Robeson House.
Yep.
Man, God bless y'all, brothers. Now, listen, man. I'm a movie buff and a sports guy, and I don't get out much because of my disability, but I am there spiritually with y'all, brother.
Appreciate that.
And what I did, I try to make the connection with the movies and the sports. And what I noticed is that I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but the young actors in the movies and the sports people have this thing where Akila B, when she would get stuck on a word, she would hit her right leg.
Okay.
And that was like getting that beat in that rhythm.
Yep.
And then Nick Cannon, even though he's a little bit down with the community right now, but he when he was beating that drum, he didn't know he didn't know how to read music, but he knew how to get the rhythm and the beat. And then he even showed the white boy how to get the rhythm and the beat with the big drum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then look at the sports, right? The sister Osaka. You ever notice what she's
And make sure people know that's a sister, y'all. Don't let them hit y'all with that Japanese stuff. When that sister talks, she makes sure y'all know her peeps is Haitian and some Jamaican going on as well, and she calls herself a black woman.
And when she got down to the lady in the championship game, she started jumping and hitting her left leg. It's her male side. And that brought her back into the game. She got the rhythm back.
Brother T, you dropping knowledge, man. You got to call more often because I appreciate what you're bringing.
Brother, I'm trying to tell you, I'm a sports guy now, and like I said, I watch all this stuff, man, and I look for the African connection.
All right.
And I'm going to continue doing that, my brother, okay?
Appreciate you. Thank you for calling, man. I like that science you just brought us. Let's go to Brother Wasset, line 2.
Greetings, my brother. How are you?
Man, I'm absolutely wonderful, Wasset, man. You bro, what you created, man. You got to get your accolades, man. I'm gonna give it to you because I'm not great at accolades. I ain't gonna lie, particularly with brothers. Sometimes we just are not as affirmative as we need to be. But man, I'm going on record right now, man. What you have created has become probably one of the most important things I am a part of in my life right now. And thank you for actualizing the vision that was laid on your heart, my brother. It has done so much for the people who are there, and I just want to honor you for making that space happen, man.
You totally caught me off guard, and to tell me now I'm starting to get a little misty. And the only thing that I can say is that I want to just say thank you, and I'm humbled by the accolades. And I just think that, and I always say that we have an ancestral obligation to do work, and we are way behind. And so I try to do what I can, in spaces. I've been an educator, so whatever space that I'm in, I try to do everything that I can to be positive, to young people and to wherever I'm at, trying to build my black family. Because some of the things that we have to do as Africans, and everything is a struggle and everything is a fight.
Right.
But, when the ancestors came to me, about why, just that this is something that needed to be done, I didn't really question it, and so I'm just honored and I'm humbled because I get texts, I get phone calls, I talk to people on a regular basis. And I spoke to one person. She was in West Oak Lane, and something happened to her transportation. And she was. When you hear somebody say that I need this,
yes,
that's an affirmation.
And I've heard that more than once, man. When we didn't have it those 2 weeks in a row, man, the number of people who were kind of like, "Yo, man, y'all got whatever happens, y'all got to have this joint next week, or I'm gonna hurt you," because like it's a thing, man. It's a thing.
And it's just a beautiful thing. And I think that, to me, this is an example of what I will say black creation. And if you understand the gift that we have, we were always creators. And somebody basically blocked our sunlight and basically kind of tried to shun our creativity. But you can't, we are people that are kissed by the sun. So you can't block our sunlight, because even when you try to block it, we're going to find a way to get connected to the sun. And so I look at the spirit of the drum. And let me tell you what's interesting, Brother Shamari. I don't care what nobody says. This pandemic, where you shut all of these people, primarily a lot of black people, they lost jobs, they lost businesses and things of that nature, but my spiritual mentor used to say that as black people, we always knew how to make a way out of no way.
Right.
And so to me, the spirit of the drum is that way. And this is not for me. This is not for you. This is for our people, and it's something that they need. And what we're going to do is we're going to build the momentum. Because if you understand history, anytime that we had to go to war in traditional African society, we basically we played the drum to basically build up that adrenaline. And when you feel the spirit of the drum, and that's how the Haitians were able to defeat the French. When the power of the drum beat courses through you and you resonate with you and you feel it, you cannot be beaten. And so our people have to connect to that energy, because I think that, unfortunately, sometimes spiritually and psychologically, we feel like a beaten people,
right.
And so I think that what the spirit of the drum does, it lets us know that, guess what?
Right.
We are the drum beat, and we could do this.
And that's why, Baba, part of, you called the brothers together a couple weeks back and had a conversation. And another conversation we have to have is about our role as the guardians, the stewards, and the caretakers of the space that we have created. I love Baba Nasheed's story. He wasn't even there today, man.
Yeah,
but like, wow, like that story. If that's not an ashe, I don't know what an ashe is about. The need for us to say, okay, this space is for this purpose. And when we do libation and when we do all that we do at the front end of the thing, our elders' permission to speak and all of that we do, we have now sparked and empowered this space for a purpose that we got to protect that purpose. So when that goes off kilter and off left, we got to bring that back to center. We can't let other monkey invasions energies kind of come into that space. And I think that I walked away today understanding that that's part of our work as well.
The only thing that I can say to that, Brother Shamari, is ashe. I'm just so excited for, what we've created, and not only for what we've created, but what I know it's going to be. I want to give a shout out to Reverend Joe. Love him, love his wife, love his family. And I appreciate, as we're putting the energy out there, that he says that during inclement weather, when it gets cold, we got a home. So I want Reverend Joe to know I appreciate you.
Yeah, that's my moms and pops. They adopt me and they looking out for me. So yeah, that's a spot, man. And so I love that offer as well. Real quick, sir, just a brief recap of today as quickly as possible, then also letting people know where we're going to be next Sunday. All right, if you could call back, I want you to do it. But if not, I'll do it. A beautiful day today, honoring Brother Mo, and also honoring our brothers and sisters who are locked down inside the belly of the beast, but who are soldiers and jegnas and warriors on our behalf. Mumia, members of Move, Amin, I always say the name, H-Rap Brown. We still have work to do. We have people who are with us whose warrior spirit we have to honor, and that's the kind of energy that we were bringing to today in honoring that warrior spirit. Back to you real quick, Brother Wasset.
Yeah. So just to announce where we're going to be, the day is always Sunday. The time is always 1 p.m. We are going to be at Wyalustin Park. That's right there at 48th, I believe, in Wyalustin. We're going to be at the park right there where this Sister Clara Muhammad, when you think about that school and you think about the work that she did, that's kind of like sacred space.
Yeah.
So we're going to be there. We're asking everybody to come out. And as I always say, bring your positive energy. If you don't have any positive energy, leave your negative energy somewhere else, borrow some, and bring it with you when you come. And if you feel as though you need to pick it back up, you can. But when you come,
we don't want you to stay away, though, because our energy is going to overwhelm your energy. So if you want to come and you got a funky attitude and all, that's cool, because it's going to get defeated. But try to come without it. It would make our job a lot easier is all I'm saying.
I say, my brother. And thank you, Brother Shamari, for just continuing doing the amazing job that you do. And the best thing that you do, Brother Shamari, is you push us and you make us think outside of the box. Critical thinking is the only thing that's going to get us out of the rut that we're in is critical thinking, and you do that for us, my brother. So I want to thank you, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate it as well, and that's why I don't have a lot of friends, because a lot of people don't like that. But I thank you, my brother. I'm looking forward, and let's build on this, man. I'm gonna reach out to you during the week, and talking about just these indoor options that are evolving, and a couple people have come to me with some, and I just like, man, I'm all in on this thing, my brother. So again, thank you for bringing it to us and letting yourself be the vessel through which the ancestors spoke, and then you heeded that wisdom and that direction.
Take time, my brother.
So before we go to commercial break, I'm going to come back to, let's start with my sister from, well, I guess you're from here. By the way, what are you studying at American University?
I'm studying political science and African American studies.
Oh, check you out. All right. So, people, for the record, just so people know, I'm never probably going to get my DNA checked to figure out where I come from.
You don't have
I'm not. I don't want to know. I'm claiming everything. I'm all of it, whatever. So just I'm like that. I'm not trying to be particular. I'm trying to be Pan-Africanist, and I ain't picking.
Right?
Now I will say this though, for a minute though, just so you know. Now, if somebody say there's a treasure and an inheritance and some land, if you end up being this thing, then I'm the first in line on this DNA joint. But in general, just to know for knowing, I have no interest in picking a spiritual system. I have no interest in picking a homeland, picking a tribe. I believe we need to create our own relevant tribe and affiliations and networks for the reality that we in. That's going to be a Pan-African, quote-unquote, tribe. So I'm all in on that. So I'm not trying to be particular, because I think we need to embrace the all of it, as much of the all of it that we can, that's committed to black love, black loyalty, and black life. That being said, you mentioned your affiliations and your people, but you didn't say it on the air.
Yes. So I am from the Susu and Malinke tribe. My dad is Malinke and my mom is Susu. But I know more about my mom than I do my dad, so I claim Susu.
And a lot of the music you heard today was
Susu,
from Susu, and then also your people, Mende. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to mix it up, y'all, but we're going to do, you were talking about how we've been divided by the ocean. We're going to also be united across this ocean. That's the job, and that's the purpose that we're trying to bring to this space we call groundings and elevation. Any final thoughts for today? Musu.
We need to come together. We need to come together. And sometimes I just say, how about if Africa was just one tribe, I wonder, what if Africa only spoke one tribe? How powerful that would have been, because most of the time tribes are fighting against tribes and all that. How about there was only one tribe? So I believe, even though we have so many tribes, but if we all come together as Africans and show that love, and coming here, meeting our brothers and sisters, even though we have been brainwashed on both sides, but I think if we come together and in love,
right,
we'll build up the trust and all that.
Yeah, everybody's talking about unifying, and shout out again to my brother Jeff Weaver. We dialogue a lot about this, and he poured it into me. That's where the idea of love is the foundation. It's the grounding, and we have to be grounded in the love in order to move to the next level, which is the loyalty. That love bond calls you to a loyalty to a cause, and that cause is our liberty, liberation, independence, freedom, and empowerment. Black love, black loyalty brings black life.
Yes.
That's what we're going to build right here. That's a tribe. That's our tribal name. Black love, black loyalty, black life. That's our tribe. We're going to make it happen. Okay. Right here on Groundings and Elevations with Brother Shamari. Coming up on the commercial break. When we come back, final segment of our show, want to vibe with my brother, David Barnes. And yes, y'all, David Barnes was out there again with us. He's part of the community, the spirit of the drum, bringing his positive energy. He also had a little pet with him today. I want him to tell us who that was. And then we're going to close it out with another powerful story from Pop-Pop. Know something. Stay tuned.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. Livelihood. The new initiative from Word Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and wordradio.com.
And welcome back to the final segment of Groundings and Elevation with Brother Shamari, and I got my good brother who joins us in the spirit of. What do you think about the spirit of the drum and the tribute today to Brother Mo?
Well, is my mic on? Oh, now I hear. Actually, I enjoyed coming to the Spirit of the Drum each week. I saw Brother Ron McCoy out there. I said, I come here to get my spirit resurrected each week. I get a rejuvenation each week. So I love it. You know, I come out just for the camaraderie. A sister today was saying that it's like, this is a Sunday church service. You know, but I ain't going to church. I'm going to get my spirit lifted.
That's right.
But
and you actually brought your little friend with you today, the little
it was a Yorkie, right? It was a Shih Tzu.
Okay. Ooh.
You know,
I thought you violated some FCC rules, man. For a minute.
No. Actually, you know, it's a Shih Tzu. But somebody asked me, so well, what do you get if you mix a bulldog with a Shih Tzu? No. Yes. Anyhow, I had a Little Bits. It's actually Janina Carter's dog. Janina Carter is my co-host, and she went away and asked me to dog sit her dog. So I had a wonderful time. Me and Little Bits enjoyed each other while Janina's away. I wonder if she's listening now. Anyhow, back to the drumming session. I really enjoy it, and I encourage everybody to come out. You know, we have a lot of people that come out there and enjoy the drumming, the dancing, the food, the people. Everybody looks nice. I was looking nice today.
Yeah, you were fly, man.
I know. I can't help it. I like to show off. So anyhow, I go each and every week to get my spirit lifted, and I encourage everyone to come out and enjoy it. Tonight on the New Worldview Radio program, we have the one and only controversial Dr. Umar Abdul Johnson is going to be talking to us live here today. Also, in a second segment with Patrick and Jadu, our Afrobeat segment, we're going to be featuring a top recording artist out of Ghana. His name is Hans Black, and he's going to be calling in. So we're going to have a wonderful program lined up today. I encourage all of you to join in right after Brother Jamari's Groundings.
I appreciate that, man. We spray so much Lysol and disinfectant in the studio. It just caught my throat.
I know. It gets caught up.
Take a minute.
That's right.
But again, that's my brother David Barnes, New World View. Check him out right here, 8 o'clock, WURD Radio. And we want to go to Pop Pop. Know something to close us out with our final story of today, Brother Nasheed.
Yes, indeed. Save the children. Save the babies. Save the children. Save the babies. Don't let that chant fade away. Let's bring it to life with the spirit of that drum. Philly got heart. That's where the drum is. Philly, the drum is in Philly. Period. So what I learned, because when I start on Pop Grow Something, I got a story for you, but when I end, man, Groundings Elevation is so inspiring that I have to learn. And this is how I get my stories, when I listen to the dialogue, and when I listen to the facilitator, Shamari, and the questions that he poses, it makes me think. One of the things that I got from it is that we're all family. We're all family, no matter where we're from. We're from here. I think Peter Tarr said that no matter where we come from, we still African. When the sister was talking about Mende, I saw the vision of our people. And we've got to travel. As a people, we've got to travel to wherever our people, wherever they may be, that's where we have to travel. We have to go down to the Gullah Islands in South Carolina, where some of the Mende people that came from Sierra Leone settled in that region. And what they did, they were technicians in rice and growing, planting, cultivating rice. But they were Mende people from Sierra Leone. And she helped me to remember that. And to hear that music, that beautiful music with the beats and the verse. We're one, groundings, elevation. And the third thing was that in my story about the monkeys, Brother Shamari made a comment. If Curtis Jackson, you know, a.k.a. 50 Cent, was in Philly and he went through the school system, he wouldn't even be 50 Cent. He'd be at 0%. And I know how much Shamari is for the education of our children. We have to save the children. We have to give thanks for that drum circle, the spirit of the drum in Wasset, and the work that he's doing to bring everyone together on the one and on the beat. So when they leave, they can still be vibing like Brother Shamari and Brother Dave. They can still be vibing. So let's give thanks and praise until next time. Until next time, 6 o'clock on Sunday, Groundings Elevation. Peace.
Peace, Pop. And don't forget, join us on Fridays also, 1 to 4, right here, Groundings and Elevations with Brother Shamari, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Talk with you on Friday. We out.
Peace.
You're listening to The Shamari Show, hosted by Brother Shamari on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Media.
He's also
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and wordradio.com. You're listening to The Shamari Show, hosted by Brother Shamari on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Media.
No, I don't hear it. I hear it. I just heard it. No, there we go. Turn it up a little bit more. Turn it up a little bit.
Chopari wanda wanti bonni inti menni biore ogni Nana buyang ito Digimira Nana buyang ito Digimira Digimira sa pendu Nana buyang ito tosibisa elifendena.
This is a rhythm, a warrior's rhythm, victorious rhythm, a glorious rhythm. Yahoo, Yahoo, you hear it, you feel it, it's there in the spirit, it's there in the lyric, don't ever compare it. Yahoo, Yahoo, the beat of the cradle, defeating the label, the people are able to eat at the table now. Yahoo, divided by cheddar, we gotta get better, united together, we tighter than ever now. Yahoo, forgotten, forsaken, forever mistreated, debated, disputed, but never defeated. No hate, no more venom, we straight with the rhythm. We celebrate rhythm, we elevate rhythm. The beautiful rhythm, the powerful rhythm. We chant to the rhythm, we dance to the rhythm. The beautiful rhythm, the powerful rhythm. We chant to the rhythm, we dance to the rhythm. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. This is a rhythm, a warrior's rhythm, victorious rhythm, a glorious rhythm. Yahoo, Yahoo, you hear it, you feel it, it's there in your spirit, it's there in the lyric, don't ever compare it. Yahoo, don't ever compare it. Yahoo, don't ever compare it. The beat of the cradle, defeating the labels, the people are able to eat at the table. Yahoo, Yahoo, divided by cheddar, we gotta get better, united together, we tighter than ever. Yahoo, Yahoo, forgotten, forsaken, forever mistreated, debated, disputed, but never defeated. No hate, no more venom, we straight with the rhythm. We celebrate rhythm, we elevate rhythm. The beautiful rhythm, the powerful rhythm. We chant to the rhythm, we dance to the rhythm. The beautiful rhythm, the powerful rhythm. We chant to the rhythm, we dance to the rhythm. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on Word Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station. Home of the Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Ooh. All the times where I do you bad, I'm sorry, yo. Give me love way better pass money, yo. Where sweet pass the honey, yo. If I fight, make I fight for the love. If I grace, make I grace for the love. No one, no complication. This is a situation. If I grace, make I grace for the love. If I fight, I go fight for the love. No one, no complication. This is a situation. Baby, yo. Baby, yo. I want to love you for life. Baby, yo. Baby, yo. Come make I love you for life. I die with my person now. Baby girl, you are the one. Love where I love you now. This kind of love where I love you now. Girl, I wanna be your customer. For your love, I be your hustler. Love where I love you now. Every superwoman is a superman. Your love give me joy where you know pity, understand. Fine girl, you know you know other man. No other man. Your love give me joy where I know pity, explain. Girl, I wanna give you good love and love no other. You with the bust up my medulla. You with the rise up my temperature. Girl, I wanna give you sweet love and love no other. You with the bust up my medulla. So now you with the rise up my temperature. My doctor say my cure day on top your body, yo. All the times where I do you bad, I'm sorry, yo. Give me love way better pass money, yo. Where sweet pass the honey, yo. If I fight, make I fight for the love. If I grace, make I grace for the love. No one, no complication. This is a situation. If I grace, make I grace.
And good evening, everyone out there, Word Land, Philadelphia, New Jersey, Ghana, Delaware, Nigeria, Liberia, Senegal, and all of y'all. I'm David Barnes, photo man for you too, and I'm your host on this Dr. Umar Abdul Johnson edition of New World View. That's right, you and me right here, the only place to be. 96.1 FM, 900 AM, and streaming live worldwide at WURDradio.com.
Baby girl, you are the one. Love where I love you now. This kind of love where I love you now. Love where I love you now.
Well, I hope each and every one of you had a wonderful weekend this past weekend. I had a really nice weekend. I'm dog sitting for our co-host, Janita Carter, who's away out of town. And I'm dog sitting her little Yerky dog a little bit. We having a good time hanging out together. Actually, Little Bit has been a wingman, but I don't need a wingman because I already got my wing on my side. I went by the drumming ceremony today out at Vernon Park. We also did a tribute to Brother Muhammad, who was a very frequent and very strong voice in the black talk radio universe. Actually, he goes way back, and he's been a strong voice in our community for a very long time, and he just made transition recently, and we had a memorial service for him today out at Vernon Park, along with the Spirit of the Drum sessions that they have every week at a different section of the city. Y'all should come by sometime and get some of that spirit. You know, I heard a brother on Brother Shamari Friday's show saying that a lot of times people are turned off by some of the hosts here at WURD and other television stations, radio stations that think that they are black people and call themselves talking to black people, but the brother said they don't talk to the spirit of the people. And now I like that, because we try to talk to the spirit of the people. We don't try to tell them how to be politically correct. And what America does is tell you how to do your civic duty, but we try to speak to our spirit, and we try to feed our spirit, and that's what we do here at New Worldview. And I want to welcome to the phone lines one of the people that speaks directly to the African spirit, Dr. Umar Abdul Johnson. I want to say good evening. How are you doing today, Doctor?
Peace and black power.
Yes, sir. Peace and black power. So now that was one of the things that I like about you. When you speak directly to the spirit of the people. You know, you get deep down into the root soul of what our issues are, what our problems are, and how we can come up with some solutions for our issues. Because that is the only way I think that we can solve any of our problems and get back to our spirit. And our spirit is what, for me, leads me and guides me and keeps me on the righteous path.
Absolutely. I'm of the opinion that when we speak, especially in public forums, we have to be unapologetically African, or it's best not to speak at all. At this day and time, with all that we're going through as a race, it's very important that when we open our mouths, we have to do justice to the present predicament that our people find themselves in. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said that a person who will misrepresent your true feelings and your true experiences is a traitor.
And not only that, they're a traitor to themselves. One of the things that Brother Shamari mentioned a couple of weeks ago is that what does being black mean to you, blank? And I said black to me means life, because when you deny your blackness, you deny your Africanness, you deny yourself your life, you deny your opportunity to reach your full potential, because you're not going to reach your full potential till you reach the fact that you're black, that you're African, and not black in the sense of the word, and not African in the sense of the word, but the spirit of the word black, the spirit of the word African. When you can accomplish that and achieve that, then you can do much more.
Well, we have a lot of what I would call Half-Africans.
Half-Africans, I like that. Half-Africans, yeah.
We have a lot of Half-Africans where, you know, they'll be African on the weekend, or African during Black History Month, African during Kwanzaa, Juneteenth, Dr. King birthday, but the other half of the year, they're totally European. And I think one of the contradictions of Black America is this Half-African consciousness that we have, where we turn it on and turn it off. It doesn't stay on 24 hours a day for everyone. It does for some of us. For the great majority of our people, you know, it's a costume, it's an act, it's a personality subtype that they assume when it's necessary, and then they take it off. You know, we're politically, we're very schizophrenic people, because we have multiple personalities that we have. We have our personality when we're around other black people. We have our personality when we're around other so-called people of color. We have our personality when we're around white folks. We have our personality when we're on the job. We're constantly switching up. And that need to have to constantly switch up who you are clearly speaks to the fact that being authentically African is not something that is valued or accepted in this country.
So it would appear. But we have to get into the practice of being unapologetic. You know, no matter where we are, no matter the situation that we're in, you can still be African. You don't have to be mean, cruel, or offensive. Being African is nothing about it is being offensive. You know, and that's one of the problems that I think that other white people have, is that when we speak up for ourselves, they think that we're speaking against them. And sometimes we are, if they're the ones that are doing us wrong. But just to say that we love ourselves and want to do for ourselves is not speaking against anyone, it's speaking for ourselves.
That's very true, you know, but also a lot of this goes back to economics and psychology, because one of the biggest reasons why many of us do not, you know, we're not full-time Africans, we're half-Africans, is because we have jobs. You know, black people are constantly worried about their source of income. And when you don't control your own economic destiny, you're basically a slave, because you have to do whatever your employer dictates that you do in order for you to keep that job. And so, you know, it's one thing to emancipate a people while at the same time telling them that the only way you're going to be able to take care of yourself is to work for the very same people who once enslaved you. And we have done very little. We have done very little to get off of the economical umbilical cord of white America. Black people are just as dependent on white folk today as we were in the 1800s. And even
when you look at a lot of black people who own their own businesses, a lot of them have a very strong white clientele, a very strong white clientele. And so although the ownership may be black, technically it's white. It's a white business because if those white people stop patronizing you, you may go out of business. So even though you're black owned, you're still white controlled.
Mm-hmm. And when we look at, because we some of us have workplaces to go to in order to pay our rent and pay our bills, I say that because I didn't have such a challenge. Of course, I had some challenges in my workplace when I worked in the workplace. But I still was unapologetically black. And a lot of people didn't like me because I was too black. You know, get out of here always talking that old black stuff. Get out of here with all that old African stuff. We ain't in Africa right now. You know, but I didn't let that bother me. I just maintained my own sense of self. I exercised my own African power, no matter where I walked or what I said. And that's one of the challenges that I think that people have to face when they're in the workplace. You know, you can still be cordial and be African at the same time. Like I said, you don't have to be abusive. You don't have to be offensive. You know, you can just be yourself and know within yourself that you're African, and no matter what people say or do. And if they get offended by your African, then the problem is with them, not you.
Well, see, one of the biggest problems that I have looking towards the future as it relates to economic independence, you know, we have to be clear that if there is no economic independence, there is no political independence.
Mm-hmm.
They go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Black people cannot be a race of employees and expect to be economically empowered. It doesn't make any sense. But what I find most dissatisfying is the fact that we have done very little to empower our children to be economically independent. And that's the problem that I have. I was on a radio interview this morning from Detroit because I'll be there Saturday for the Detroit Cultural, the Detroit African Cultural Festival to release my new book, Black Parent Advocate, Chicago Friday, Detroit Saturday. But the question came up about why they do not teach economic science in public school. And I said, the answer is really simple, because when the Rockefellers created their own school board, the General Education Board that was created by the Rockefellers, they did so to purposely keep economic instruction out of public school. They did not want children to be taught how to invest, how to earn, how to bank, because they said if we teach them the science of money, then they will no longer be our slaves. So economics was deliberately kept out of public school. Public school was about preparing workers, not owners, okay, slavers, not controllers. And so if black people want their children to be economically independent, we have to teach them how to do that. They're not going to get it in public school. And we don't really see it being taught in the black community. And that is one of the weaknesses of black America. We are not helping our children become any more economically independent than we are. And what we switch out, or what we content ourselves with doing, is getting a higher paying job or a more prestigious position. So my daughter, you know, is president of the hospital. My son is the vice president of the bank. You know, my daughter is a partner at the law firm, but they don't own it. And until they own it, they cannot control it or dictate the policy.
Well, you were correct in saying that they miseducated, uneducated us when it comes to economics, and but I've come to the understanding that even though they have attempted to uneducate us and miseducate us, we have the power within ourselves to re-educate ourselves. So I say we could work on a job and educate ourselves, learn about ourselves at the same time, and then when we become strong enough, we can create our own economic standards instead of just having nowhere to spend our money but with them. But, you know, when we teach ourselves and understand ourselves, then we can become economically stronger.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, if you go back to slavery, many of our ancestors would work in order to, they would hire themselves out. So they were entrepreneurs. Even though they were enslaved, they were still entrepreneurs because they would then get the freedom or the opportunity to hire themselves out in order to make extra money that they in turn would save to purchase their freedom or the freedom of their family. The point that I'm trying to make was even in slavery, our ancestors could not wait to buy their freedom. And it's interesting because today you don't see that same determination and vigor on the part of black people who want to give up constantly being employed by white folks. Like, we love the plantation. We can't wait to retire on the plantation. I mean, a Negro with a government job is the happiest Negro in America. They have no interest or desire to get free. But what that also speaks to is a lack of political consciousness, black consciousness. You cannot be interested in the liberation of your people being content working for white people. I don't care who you are. I don't care what kind of job you have. I don't care if you're sweeping streets. I don't care if you're the president of a law firm. If you are content being employed by white folk for the rest of your life, you're also telling me that you have no interest whatsoever in seeing black people liberated. Because when you don't control your economic destiny, the first thing you sacrifice is your freedom of speech. It's the first thing you sacrifice. I got a letter in the mail the other day, Brother David, from the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office. They're threatening to take away my professional credentials, my school psychologist certificate, as well as my school principal certificate. They're threatening to take it back, take it away from me, if I continue to preach and teach the way that I've been doing for the past 20 years. Now, there's nothing different about my message. It has been consistent for 20 years. But them same coons that you and I spoke about in our last conversation, they have been writing letters of complaint about me to the Pennsylvania Attorney General office, who now, in turn, is threatening to strip me of my professional credentials. And I'm going to respond to their letter because I'm going to let them know I wasn't aware that you had the right to take somebody's First Amendment, Constitutional Amendment number 1, 1791, okay, says that people have a right to freedom of speech. So you cannot tell me that I do not have a right to freedom of speech just because I'm a school psychologist, just because I'm a certified school principal. That does not require me to give up my constitutional rights. But I'm going to take it a step further because I don't believe in the Constitution, nor do I believe it was ever intended to be a protection for black people, which is why it doesn't protect black folks. I'm going to let the Attorney General know that my freedom of speech does not derive from the laws of this land. My freedom of speech derives from God. I have a right to speak truth to power because my Creator gave that to me. And I'm also going to let them know, listen, I'm not Nick Cannon. I'm not LeBron James. I don't say something and take it back. And that's no disrespect to them. But I will let them know they can take those papers because my freedom is far more important than that paperwork. But they will have a fight on their hands if they do try to take it.
Did they say on what grounds did they want to strip? They
provided no evidence. They provided no proof. They didn't even say what it is I said that they considered to be bigoted speech.
That's what they called bigoted speech?
They called it bigoted speech, bigoted language. They said we're getting constant complaints about you and bigoted speech and bigoted language. And then they cited a particular policy of the state law as it relates to educator conduct, and they were saying that I was in violation of that with my political pronouncements, although they did not state what those political pronouncements were. Listen, I got a right to say whatever the hell I want. You got white teachers all over this country posting all kinds of racial comments and pictures, using the N-word in the classroom. You understand? All types of Donald Trump, disrespectful slogans around our children and parents. So you got the audacity to tell me that I can't say what I want to say, but you let white folks say whatever the hell they want to say? Get out of here with that. The point is, if they want to take back the paperwork, take it back. But that does not solve your problem, because if you take it back, you really have no jurisdiction now, because now I'm totally free to say whatever I want to say and do whatever I want to do. Brother David, I celebrated on 9/11, September 11th, 2001. It was my first day of full-time work with the School District of Philadelphia as a certified school psychologist. And I'll never forget the day, because that's when the school district headquarters was down at 21st and Winter Street in Center City. And I had to report down there to get my test equipment. And I had just been informed when I got down there, probably about 10 o'clock, that the Twin Towers had just been hit about 90 minutes early.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first day of work, 911. You understand? And so I was sent back home, and they said, we'll contact you to come back and get your test equipment and get your school assignment. So that's when my career actually began. So it's been 19 years. That's not including the internship. The internship will make it 20 years. But after 20 years of doing this, now they want to come in and say, well, we're going to take your credentials if you keep on teaching the way you teach. They should have never told me that, because I'm unapologetically African, and I'm never going to stop preaching what I'm preaching. And I'm going to make sure I let them know that.
And you're not saying anything different now than what you've been saying for the last 20 years.
Nothing. The only difference now, Brother David, two things. Number one, I have 2 schools in Delaware. They're not happy about that. I'm sure of it. Number two, this book is about to come out. They wasn't happy with my first book, Psychoacademic Holocaust, the Special Education and ADHD Wars Against Black Boys, because I'm sure that book has caused them a lot of problems across the country as it relates to putting our kids in special ed, over-medicating them, because I was the first psychologist in American history to break down special education and ADHD in a way that parents could understand it, but also give them the recipe to actually reverse and interrupt what the school was trying to do to their child. So with this second book, Black Parent Advocate, which is twice as intense and twice as big. The first book was 220 pages. The second book is over 550 pages. And I don't think it's a coincidence, Brother David, that I got that letter from the Attorney General's office 1 week before my book releases.
Wow. So they're trying to intimidate you.
Exactly. They're trying to intimidate me. And they're not happy that I'm exposing the system. This book right here, and I'm going to do a book signing in Philadelphia as soon as I get back from Chicago and Detroit. I wish I would have set it up in time for our conversation tonight, but that's okay. I'll let you know when it is so you can let the people know.
Absolutely.
But this book here picks up where the first book left off. The first book, I would say, teaches parents how the system operates. So that's about operation. The first book is how it operates, operation. The second book is intervention, what you can do to stop it. So, Brother David, we have 2 parts to this book. The first book is about documentation and communication. I have over 80 sample letters that parents can send to the school that basically cover almost every problem you could possibly have. We deal with dress code, we deal with mental giftedness, autism, reading disability, emotional disturbance, ADHD, behavior, mind change, a grade, private school, individual eval. They have the letter, and all they have to do is reproduce the letter. I don't want them copying my letter, and there's a reason for that. If you copy my letter and give it to the school, they know that you don't know what you're doing, because if you knew what you were doing, you would have your own letter. So you should never copy somebody else's letter. Reproduce the letters that are in my book. And the second part of the book is about going over the different documents that the school give you. So I teach them how to evaluate the IEP, evaluate the psychological evaluation, evaluate the behavior plan, how to conduct yourself at the meetings. All of that information is in this book. This right here, with the first book, if a parent reads those 2 books, there's almost nothing the school can throw at them that they won't be able to deal with. And that's why the Attorney General sent me that letter last week.
Wow. One of the things that we've been talking about on the show is that during this time when they had shut down all the schools, this is an opportunity for Black people to create their own educational system, because the educational system is on lockdown, shut down, and now this is the opportunity. And if we don't, then we are actually just sending our children back to the plantation, back to the factories where they are brainwashing them. So what do you, now, I know that you have your Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, but how do you think, or do you think that more Black people and teachers should create our own educational system?
We absolutely should. If it's 2 things that doesn't make sense for us not to have, it is our own school district. We should have a national, independent Black school district. There is no reason why any Black child in America should have to be taught by white folks. There's no reason why any Black child should have to put up with academic apartheid, behavioral racism. There's no reason why any black parent should have to go into these and fight and wrestle with these white folks to do what is right by their child. The reason why we don't have a national independent black school district is because black people are allergic to building their own institutions. We have not institutionalized anything since the 1964 Civil Rights Bill. The past 50 years, black people have not institutionalized anything. We have very few banks. We have very few independent schools. We have very few supermarkets. I don't think we have any manufacturing sector whatsoever. We are totally dependent on white folks for infrastructure, and that is sad. This COVID showed you how dependent we are on white folks. The supermarkets were empty. Black people were struggling, couldn't even buy no food because we don't have no supermarket. Then we got to go to their hospitals when we get sick, okay, and we don't know if they telling us the truth or not. We don't have that many black doctors in there, so our people are being killed. Okay, the school shut down. We didn't have our own school system, so now we depend on what they want to do as far as the online systems are concerned. This COVID experience has shown black people that you better get your own. You better build your own, because only when you have your own is tomorrow promised.
Well, you know, myself, I don't believe in blaming the victim, and we've been victimized here in America to the fact that I don't want to say that we have not tried to build institutions. I don't want to say that we have not tried to build businesses. But we've had a lot of resistance to that. The same way you're getting resistance right now against your school, we've had a lot of resistance when we've tried to build institutions, when we've tried to open up businesses, when we try to educate our own. We just get so much resistance. If it weren't for our continuous struggle, we would be way far back behind. But it's because we continue to struggle that we are at least able to keep our heads above water right now. And if we exercise African power, we can not only swim the channel, but we can build boats so that we don't have to use all that energy swimming.
I would say that I'm not blaming the victim, because I would argue that we're no longer the victim.
Mm-hmm.
We are the willing accomplices to our own extermination. See, as I've said before, the reason why black people do not get a lot of compassion, even from other Africans around the world, is because we are one of the only populations of Africans in the world who has the economic ability to solve most of our own problems by ourselves. We are a $2 trillion people. I just read the other day that we spend $11 million a year on Quaker grits.
$11 million.
$11 million on grits. You know, we spend $1 billion on fast food, $2 billion on Nike, $4 billion on alcohol, over $30 billion on hair care products and beauty. Black people leave the country in beauty aid purchases. Leave the country. We lead the country in soap. We lead the country in cell phone usage. We lead the country in cable television. It is no excuse for us not to be institutionalized. And part of the reason we're not institutionalized is because the black bourgeoisie are not interested in helping black people build anything for themselves, because they're too interested trying to be accepted into the white reality. Let me say this. Black people do not want to be free. And we don't want to admit this to nobody. We don't want to be free. Some of us do. But the body politic of black America is not interested in freedom. We are interested in acceptance. We want to be accepted by white folks. We don't protest for freedom. We protest to be accepted. We want to be liked. That's why we go to their schools. We send our kids to their schools. We move in their neighborhoods. We marry their daughters. We marry their sons. We dye our hair blonde. We do whatever white folks do because we want them to like us. 400 years, and you're still trying to get your oppressor to accept you as his equal.
We have a caller calling from Germany wants to jump in on the conversation. Good evening, caller. Welcome to New Worldview. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
This is Rick calling you from just outside Munich, Germany.
Okay.
Dr. Umar?
Yes, he's online. He hears you.
He can hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I've got a two-part question. are black physicians building medical systems in West Africa? And why don't black physicians speak up against the psychiatric holocaust as well as the medical holocaust there in America?
To answer the first question, yes. They're definitely building medical systems, not just in West Africa, but across the continent. I was actually in communication today with a brother whose family has built a clinic, a medical clinic in Ghana, I believe it was. I was communicating with him today, which is a beautiful thing, and we support that. That is part of the Pan-African program. But we also need black doctors to build black hospitals here as well. Black people once owned and operated at least 500 independent hospitals in the United States of America. We have less than 5 today. We used to have 2 right here in Philadelphia, named after my ancestor, Frederick Douglass. And then it became the Douglass Mercy Hospital. Now,
I remember that, Mercy Douglass.
Yes, indeed. And then there was another black hospital we had here in Philadelphia. But our doctors gave them up to go work for the white hospitals. Same way we gave up the black communities to go live in the white community. You know, we don't talk enough about this, but black people have a psychological inferiority complex. We love chasing white people around. That's one of the ways they was able to come back into the inner city and take back the inner city through this gentrification movement that is in high swing, because we chase them out to the suburbs. Wherever they want to live, we have to live next door to them. That's the problem that we have. But there are medical doctors speaking up against the psychiatric holocaust and speaking up against the medical holocaust. I will say, though, there's not enough of them speaking up against the psychiatric holocaust, and that is because the money that is involved. The psychiatric drug complex is a multi-billion-dollar industry. They control doctors, black and white, okay, with that money. And I'll be honest with you, I have total respect for the Association of Black Psychologists, of which I was once a member. But I take issue with the fact that I haven't heard the Association of Black Psychologists initiate any type of serious public campaigns against the over-diagnosing and over-medicalization of black children for disruptive behavior disorder medications. You don't hear almost any black doctors talking about the overdiagnosing and medicating of black boys with this Ritalin, this Adderall, this Concerta, this Metadate, this Cyclert, this Risperdal, this Prozac, this Paxil. I'm the only one I know that's exposing it on the level that I'm exposing it, because most of them are being paid by that system.
Not just being paid, but they are afraid of losing their position, getting a letter from the Attorney General like you getting. That's what they're afraid of. And so they say, well, I'm not going to upset this apple cart. You know.
Exactly. But but here's how I see that, though, Brother David. Okay, we all have a birth date, which we know. We all have a death date. We don't know that. And then between those two on your tombstone is a dash. And that dash represents how you spent your life. And when it's time to go back to the ancestors, we all leaving here. Everybody's leaving here. And, you know, I keep that in my mind, the fact that one day I got to leave here. And when I leave here, I have to give an account to my ancestors of what I did to liberate my people. And it is the ancestors who have to approve of me first before I can even go before the Most High. You understand? And so for me, understanding that I have an obligation to fight right here, right now, with what I have to make tomorrow better for my people than it was today, that's the motivation I have to go forward. That's why that Attorney General level letter, it means nothing to me, because I know that those things are part of the sacrifices that you have to make if you really want to be free.
And, you know, I look at the way that the Association of Black Psychologists, because we've had Dr. Farouk from the Association of Black Psychologists on our show numerous times, and I've often wondered, you know, as a whole group, why can't they, you know, say something as a collective, you know, about the psychological treatment of our children in school, and about not just children, but why can't they say something collectively about the psychological trauma and practices of black adults? You know, maybe if you go to a consultation, you might see one or two, but Why can't they? Did you have something you was going to say, Patrick, or you just making hand signs? I don't know.
I was just saying it's money.
The money.
It's all the money.
Oh, well, yeah, it's the money and the job. You know, they're looking at job security.
And the job.
Yeah,
the money and the job.
Job security. You know, and so and like I say, in a way, sometimes you can't fault them for trying to secure their homes and their family. But as I mentioned, you know, at the same time, we should be also exercising our black power at the same time we're working in the belly of the beast. I'm retired now, but for the last 20 years, I've worked in white situations. And I said to myself, they're going to learn from me what it is to be black. You know, and if they don't like it, that's their problem, because I'm not going to be offensive to nobody. I'm just going to tell them how it is to be black. And I feel like I was placed in those places so that I could teach them people what it is to be black instead of trying to be a Negro.
Absolutely. And for me, it's not an excuse that they have families. That's no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Turner had a wife and children.
Mm-hmm.
He had to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. King had a wife and children.
Malcolm X.
He had to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm X, Medgar Evers. So the fact that I got a family I got to take care of, that's an excuse. Every freedom fighter we had a family that they had to take care of. That's just plain old-fashioned bourgeoisie cowardice.
I agree. So we have another caller who wants to join the conversation. Good evening, caller. Welcome to New Worldview. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Rosalind from Kensington.
Hey, Roz. How you doing?
I missed you a lot of times, but happy thanks to WRD and Word family and Local family. As far as the medications that he said, I raised a whole herd of them on different ones, but when they got older, I took them off it. And me, myself, being diagnosed bipolar schizophrenia, in and out of them hospitals, yes, we can take back whatever we want. As far as the man talking about the system, black folks don't want to believe who they are. And as far as our other heritage from our ancestors, no, my four grandmothers and all them are not here to talk about, but my herds that I done raised, they don't want to hear it, but it is what it is. As far as the system is concerned, we can beat that any day. Like he said, the cable, the schools, everything we own. We don't want to stick together. No more Gerard Avenue. All of our parents' roots and stuff on these bricks and grounds. What do we have to do to come together as one? And I'm talking about, we had the radio station, the number one, you know, in Philadelphia. What do we have to do? We got all the violence, and everybody done moved back in since I was a little girl, because we lived around everything, but our children are not protected. It starts at home. You don't come in my house with that bull, and if you see me on the street, you ain't got no respect. You better step across me, and I love y'all.
Thank you. We love you, too. But the only question I have is, you said you raised a herd instead of a family?
I'm the last great-grandmom out of 7. So all them grandmoms are dead. So me taking care of all my grandmothers, my aunts, my uncles, my nieces, all them. But now I'm great-great-grandmom, and everybody underneath me, I got one aunt standing left, but my mom had 7 kids, all them living, but she chose me. But I was the one that was beat and hit with hammers. But
Ooh, girl, you need to hit with a hammer.
With the wisdom and the knowledge, all the education that my mom said they got, ABC student, dumb thief, that's what they are.
All right, Roz, thank you so much for that information. I hope your head felt better. Got hit with a hammer. Listen, we're going to go to Phil all the way down in Florida. Good evening, Phil Washington. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Is that Brother Omar on the show?
That's it.
Hey, brother, how you feel, brother?
Peace and black power.
Yes, sir. Listen, I worked in the medical field for over 35 years, and I was an administrator. And, you know, I did the history on allopathic medicine, and this dark hole that they created and this therapeutic methods that they have are outdated and it's killing our people. We know that the AMA, and just like you guys were expressing, you know, that particular individual who cannot get away from, as Jerome Fox would say, the addiction to white, because most of these doctors, they go into these fields being addicted to the white agenda. Mm-hmm. They want everything from it. And that's the problem that they have. Their addiction and their addiction towards wanting the materialism that white folks want. But I've met a lot of doctors during my tenure who got away from it and basically wanted to stand for something, because you can only do so much with money. You can only have so much pride in yourself after you get materialism. So, brother, I just want to tell you, this is a struggle, and the demons, when it comes towards the materialistic aspects of what the allopathic medicines have created through ignorance, by trying to reward people to stay in this field, it's a big challenge for our people.
And, we talked about how or why black people do certain things. If you look at our environment, our surroundings, when we look at TV, what is the image that we get about what being happy looks like? What is the images that we get when we see what success looks like? Or what does it look like when we say what is the standard of beauty? And all those things that we see on TV and lots of the media, it looks like white people. And so a lot of black people don't want to look like us, because the images that we get about black people are a lot of times very negative and dark. And so a lot of people would say, well, I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of those that are having a good time. They got the money, that's living well, that's living that lifestyle. That's what I want to be like. But they don't understand, like with me, I'm living a black life, and I ain't never had such a good time. I'm really living a life. I'm enjoying myself because I work for the Creator, and the Creator rewards me with a lot of rewards. It's maybe not materialistic, but a lot of rewards spiritually, and I'm so happy to be nappy. So,
well,
Phil,
Dave,
yeah.
Brother Omar, I agree with you, Dave, 100%. But to get back to this dark hole we on when it comes towards medication, because we know that's all the allopathics know how to do is medicate and cut, and this process has been around for over 100 years. It continues to be the dark hole. It continues to be the driving force. But the materialistic, just to give you an example, brother, I worked in a cancer group, and the average salary was $210,000 a year, and most of the money came from medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all medicine-driven. The therapeutic methods in which they were treating people for cancer were failing, because most people were dying from the treatment. They wasn't dying from cancer, and they stood a better chance of keeping cancer and managing it and living 20 years. But because of this unequivocal belief that the white man really understands what he's doing in the medical field, we don't contest it, and that's where we need to start doing, even during this pandemic and this virus.
All right, Brother Phil Washington. Actually, he is our co-host here every first Sunday of the month, along with Professor Carl Tone Jones, who I saw today out at the Spirit of the Drum ceremonies. Listen, Dr. Umar, we're going to take a break, play a few commercials. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation here in the studios of 96.1 FM with me, David Barnes. Be sure to stick around after Brother Umar finishes, because in the 10 o'clock hour, we have a very special program coming up for you with our Afrobeat segment with Patrick and Jada. We have an artist all the way from Ghana, Hans Beck, and he is a multiple award-winning songwriter, guitarist, and composer of songs worthy of repeated listening. So listen, everybody, I want you to stick and stay. Don't you dare go away. We'll be right back.
Charge my energy, I no get time for no enemy. Tori pe pole to me. Nothing with person never see. I'm on nothing with person never see. Forget it, I say fashi. Money soon expected. Take our body agent. I take her to the person. Jelly, jelly. I'm in the answer, then yes sir. Then I'm in the answer, yes sir. Respect is reciprocal, even though una know say I special. Anybody, we no want to search. Anybody, we no the carry body. I can't something, I can't something. Go back to fele, I can't something. You want your bed, you never walk. Should not because myself, I never talk. Look you, they laugh, you go. I shall no say the time go come, mama, I no say the time go come. When you look go fit the line,
What's up, Word family? This is Yuki Washington from CBS 3 Eyewitness News, asking you to tune in to the new Worldview radio program with David Barnes, Yanina Carter, and Q Rainey, exclusively on 900 AM WURD.com.
Solutions on Word.
Hosted by Dwayne Royster and Amadi Braxton.
Solutions on Word.
Exploring solutions to national, state, and local issues through the lens of race and gender.
Solutions on Word.
Fridays 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Solutions is sponsored by Power Interfaith Movement, working towards life, liberty, and democracy for all.
Right now, the health and financial security of older Americans are on the line. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. AARP Pennsylvania wants to make sure that you know all of your voting options and that all Americans can vote safely, whether they choose to vote from home or in person. To learn more about your voting options, visit aarp.org/PA votes, paid for by AARP.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. It's never too early to talk about registration and voting. Listen to this rap about registration and voting. It's called A Two-Step by Dr. Lucille W. Ijoy and Bill D. Jolly.
Listen to Grandmama and take this special note. Step 1 is registration. Step 2, go out and vote. It's called a two-step. It's called a two-step. Yeah, the two-step. It's called a two-step. Calling all citizens, don't you delay. It's time to do the two-step and do it right away. You say you want to have, you say you want to change. Well, get up off your duck. You have the power to arrange. Two-step. It's called the two-step. Yeah, the two-step. It's called the two-step. Listen to Grandmama and take this special note. Step 1 is registration. Step 2, go out and vote. It's called a two-step. It's called a two-step. Yeah.
Ghana girl say she want marry me, yo. I hope so she sabi kukuwate. Hope your love go sweet past the sheet up. Baby girl, I say your body na killer, oh. Oh, yeah, I get it diet of your body, oh, yeah. Only on your body. That girl for the corner, there's somebody made a call, I'm see the wine, I see fire for her body, oh. And if you follow me, go now, enjoyment go kill 'em. Baby girl, you bad.
And we're back live here in the studios of 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live worldwide at WURDradio.com. You could also follow us on all of our social media platforms at on WURD. We're still here on the phone line with Dr. Umar Abdul Johnson, certified child psychologist, international lecturer, and one of the most sought-after speakers in the world. He's also the creator of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy in Wilmington, Delaware, and he's also a Philadelphia homegrown. I want to welcome back to the phone line Dr. Umar Johnson. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now, tell me. So, I don't even watch those things on YouTube anymore where people be trying to take swipes at you, hits at you. But you bring us up on the situation with the school, and also let us know how we get your upcoming book that's getting ready to do out when you go to Detroit, and also how we can get a hold of your other books as well.
Yes, Psychoacademic Holocaust, which is the first book, is going to be out of print for a little bit because I'm working on a second edition to that. That book was published 7 years ago, so there's been some changes since that time. For example, we've gotten a new DSM, the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostical Manual of Mental Disorders. So there's been some changes to the ADHD criteria, which makes it easier to diagnose our kids with ADHD now than it was before. So I have to do a new chapter on that. I also want to talk about the LGBTQ inclusion in public school. I want to talk about the need for a curriculum to teach our children about white supremacy and racism. So there's some additional chapters that I want to add. So it will be a second edition with a few extra chapters, a new introduction. That'll probably be coming out around Kwanzaa time, time for my Kwanzaa tour. But book that is coming out Friday in Chicago, which is my 10-year anniversary, by the way, of when I first came to Chicago, September 18th of 2010 to September 18th of 2020, I will be at the Yassa's Senegalese restaurant, which happens to be my favorite restaurant in the world, by the way. I will be doing the book signing there at Yassa's Senegalese restaurant, 3511 South King Drive in Chicago, right down the street from the Harold Washington Center. And that'll be from 2 to 8 Friday. 2 to 8 Friday. And then the next day we go to Detroit, and it's the Detroit African Cultural Festival, and that's from 12 until 7 on Saturday the 19th. But I won't get to the Detroit Festival until about 2 o'clock. Since we'll be driving from Chicago, and I'll be there from 2 to 7. Then I come back to Philadelphia, and what I'm going to try to do this week before I leave is I may go ahead and schedule a book signing in advance so I can get the word out. And then that way when I come back next week, we can do the book signing in Philadelphia. And then after that, I'll be going all over the place because I'm getting requests already to do the book signing in different places. So it's been a long time coming. It took me 3 years to write the book, 3 years to write the book. Very laborious process, but we're here now. Parents will definitely get their money's worth for the book. It is $50 a copy, and we're going to use some of that money to help us pay for the renovations at FDMG. Now, speaking of FDMG, as you know, we're trying to get the small building, the Garvey building, renovated. We got the plans back from the architect. Right now, we're accepting